What's up, Magical Misfits? Drew here. This video has kind of been a long time coming. I was asked by a viewer ages ago to make this video, and with life being what it is, I'm just now getting to it. So sorry about that, but I wanted to share today how I make my intuition oil. As with many of my oils and recipes, they do evolve and change over the years. This is the current recipe that I'm working with. Of course, I am again working with ingredients that I have on hand and that I regularly work with. Ones that make sense to me. They all have to do with the purpose. So they're all about developing intuitive or psychic abilities and connections. If you are wanting to make an oil like this, you can take inspiration from me all you like, but obviously make any substitutions that you see fit or that make sense. Work with the things that you have and the things that you're accustomed to. I'm just sharing what I got. So I'm going to make it in this little bottle. And any of you who know anything about me and oil know that I like my oil to not only be functional, but as beautiful as possible. So I try to choose the elements I like to work with that would look the prettiest in the oil. I haven't necessarily gone that route this time just because most of the things that I could have put into this oil that I work with are not necessarily flowery and gorgeous and colorful. That's not to say they're not pretty, but they're not that sort of ornate. And ultimately I'm okay with that because it's more about the function and having it do what I want. I dribbled a little bit with my almond oil. I am using sweet almond oil for this. I could use grapeseed, and I do a lot of times, but this time I just felt really called to use the sweet almond oil. So for me, the very first thing I felt called to and always feel called to when it comes to this intent is Usa Urva. It is something I regularly work with regards to psychic development or what have you. I don't really use it for anything else, honestly, personally, but I have some in here. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but that's broken up in the bottom into small little pieces. I happen to like to work with whole leaves when I can, so I have some of those in there as well. I'm using those in this. The second thing that I was immediately called to was dandelion, and I wanted to go with dandelion root rather than the flower. So I am adding a bit of dandelion root in. As you can see, I always like to put a little bit of oil in to start, and I build layers upon that, and I finish it off if I feel called to. The next thing I wanted to use was Low John. I'm going to put a little bit of I've got, again, really small broken up pieces, and I've got big chunks that look more like ginger that I'm going to add some of those as well. Okay, I grabbed 3 of the chunks, so I'm putting those in. And then, of course, all the little bits that I put in already. Next, I was called to wormwood. So I'm going to add a bit of wormwood in here. So see what I mean? I mean, this is attractive to a witchy person, but it's not ornately beautiful. It's not like just anybody's going to be like, wow, that's really beautiful. So, star anise, if you can get a whole star anise or flowers of any sort in, they really make your oil pop and make it beautiful, but I'm okay with it. It's fine. Orchid is the last thing, the last herbal component that I'm putting in. So I want some orchid leaves. So I do have a little bit of flower in, but I'm thinking I'm only going to put 3 because they're big. Oh, look at the pretty inside. Okay, I got to put that in. There's a really pretty pop of purple in there. So I'm going to put that in. And of course, I could have broken them up, but I'm not really called, I don't feel drawn to do that most of the time. I am going to put a stone in. I've chosen lapis lazuli. There is a lot of crystals that I could have gone with. This is one that has become important in my path and practice and that I just feel really drawn to. And it is traditionally believed to really enhance psychic intuitive hits and to help kind of negate background noise from your conscious mind that might interfere with your unconscious mind and your guidance and all that good stuff. So I really want to put that in, which is giving it some nice color. I like it. I'm going to add a bit more of the almond oil in right now before I get to my essential oils. And my essential oils are kind of where I deviate a bit. The lemongrass I chose is for its influence in this. Its properties correspond to what it is I am doing here. And you could say that the other two do as well, just not as directly, which is why I chose them. I do not own another oil that is, cinnamon is the only other oil that I work with that is directly linked with the intent of this oil, at least that I'm aware of. That smells so good. Oh. But I wanted to add some lavender. Indirectly, you know, it does have ties to sort of intuitive, psychic dreams, that kind of thing. And of course, it just smells really good. It's really soothing and it puts you in sort of a relaxed state. And that ties into the way that I personally typically use this oil. And I wanted to add some sandalwood, sort of a spiritual, I associate sandalwood with a spiritual connection, high vibrations, that kind of deal. So that's why I wanted to add the sandalwood. Okay, I can still smell the lemongrass really strongly, but it's all blending together very nicely. I don't know how many drops of each I put. I don't really work that way. I'm going to add just a little bit more of the lemongrass because the sandalwood is kind of taking over more than I want it to. I'm going to be okay with that. I do also sometimes use pomegranate oil. I really feel, I don't know, it's just my own intuitive whatever belief, but I really do feel that that taps into psychic development and intuitive abilities as well. I don't know that from any literature or anything. Like, I've not looked at anybody else's correspondences and have a reason to believe that. It's just my gut instinct when it comes to it. So sometimes I use pomegranate oil, but I chose not to this time. I'm not going to top the bottle off. I'm going to leave it as it is just because this is an oil that I personally use pretty sparingly. There are many ways that I could work with this oil, but for me personally, the way that I choose to use it for the most part is I will at times put it on my pulse points, so my wrists and my neck. But the vast majority of the time, the way I use it is to put it on my hands, rub it in thoroughly, and anoint my third eye before meditation or divination. Anytime it might benefit me to have a heightened awareness or intuitive connection, or however you want to word that. So yeah, I will let this charge on. I'm probably going to put it on Osset's shrine, though before I had a shrine to a goddess, I would have just put it on my altar and just let it charge for a bit. But I have plans for this, and I'm very much looking forward to working with it this time around. Basically, that's my intuition oil in a nutshell. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, much love and gratitude.